Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Constant Agitation, our weekly podcast. And if you're listening to this, come join us live.
Yes.
Because we're having so much fun on YouTube. Welcome everybody who's in the chat. So happy to have you here. Today we have an exciting episode. I'm really excited about today's episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know why?
It kind of came together very nicely in the last moment, yes.
So, yeah, that's why I was mentioning the Spotify stuff and the podcast. Because usually we have what's it called? A question box on Instagram. So if you're not following us,
yes,
some of the friends that join us here on YouTube, they usually also follow us on Instagram and they leave us questions. So when we put the box for the question...
Normally one day before today, so just today, Thursdays.
We don't say what we're going to talk about.
No, we just like...
Yeah, if you have any interesting questions, maybe we can answer them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we had the photographers and the stuff that we're going to talk about prepared this episode beforehand, actually from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of we had a vague idea that we're going to talk about these photographers. But then we got two very interesting questions. Somehow they kind of relate to each other and to the topic of like the topics that we have prepared.
Yes.
And so I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, I guess people have already an idea because they read the title of the video, so they know a little bit.
Definitely.
But it's very nice that because we don't really mind that the questions might be completely unrelated to the topics we prepare, but now it's like very round and nice. Yes.
Yeah. And we forgot to introduce ourselves. I'm Jimmy, and this is Eva.
Yes. Hi.
In case you're watching us for the first time, welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you enjoy. Right. So, what are we going to do now? Answer the questions first.
Yes, I guess we can introduce the episode by going through the questions that we got and as a warm-up, and then we get into the two
we start
main
looking
topics.
At some stuff.
Yes, that's your favorite part, I know. Yeah. Click, 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 click. So our friend, Brian, he wrote, been thinking about doing a photography project, documentary styled. Any advice?
Good question. Sorry, I was drinking. Very good question. Do you have any advice, Eva?
Well, any advice? I don't have so much experience myself on documentary work. I think documentary can mean a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be that you actually want to gather a story that you want to tell through photography because you think it's worth the people know about it. But it could also be that you want to just document a particular happening or a particular lifestyle. So I think documentary photography could also be applied to some client work that you might do with some people because they want you to capture their life in a way. So that documentary work, and there I have a little bit more of experience,
like a biography type of
or like lifestyle type of shoots that you would do. Typically documentary photography and these like more thorough projects, they are not just like one photo shoot type of work. It's something that you research. It's something that it will extend through days or weeks or even months and years in some cases. So I think my first tip would be research the topic, right? If you are set already about the topic that you want to do a documentary photo work, research about it first. So you get to know what places should you be visiting, what type of people you should be kind of working with or trying to get to know or trying to talk to get more deepened information about the project. In reality, when you want to do a documentary work through photographs, you want a mix of very thorough thought through work that you have worked before on it, but also a spontaneity. And in order for the spontaneity to look good and to mean something, I think you need to know a lot about the subject first. Mm-hmm. So I would say, first thing, research your topic, whatever that is.
I definitely agree. Research is important in the sense of like having an idea like what you're getting into and planning ahead. Because here's the thing, it's not just, I feel like when you're doing documentary work, like, I mean, it depends. Where are these photos going? Mm-hmm. Who's in charge of publishing them? In what format are they going to be published? Are they going to be a book? Are they going to be in an article? Are you working for a magazine?
Do you want to do an exhibition? Yeah.
Exactly. In this case, I assume that Brian is if anything, maybe working on a zine, maybe, or like a solid body of work that he's not. I don't think. I mean, he's in the chat. If you can, if I'm saying, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a personal project, as you mentioned. It's not something commissioned. So, my advice would be to like, first thing, visualize how this thing is gonna be, and have more than one idea. You know, like look at different work. Try to have you know, when you're making a movie, they say you got to make a storyboard. Try to make a layout. And the images, you're going to be essentially you're going to be telling a story with your images, especially if you don't have any text in the publication. It's going to be, the photos are going to tell the story. So you want to be able to kind of blend your shots, because you might be amazing photographer and all your shots are going to be hero shots, you know, like every single one of them is going to be a banger, as they say. But in most cases, it's not like that. In most cases, you're going to have a lot of photos that fill in the blanks. So my advice would be really get really good with the camera that you're planning to use. So it becomes second nature. You're not even thinking when you're shooting. And of course, it depends on what you're doing. So let's say, if you're working on an event, you're going to have to be fast. You have to be snapping away photos everywhere, stuff happening around you, like a carnival or something like that. You know, you got to capture all the moments, even the moments that at the time you don't think necessarily are going to be the hero shots. These are very important to have in between those hero shots. So when you see something, get it, but when you don't see something, shoot more, if that makes any sense. Cover everything that you see, even when you don't see anything to take photos of. Does that make any sense?
I think I know what you mean. Is like, so when you are thinking about a specific project and you make a storyboard or a story of a visual storytelling in your head, you might be thinking of the most obvious photos, right? Like, let's say that is about a specific type of worker doing something, and then you are visioning, which photos would I take? Oh, these people doing this, these people doing that. But there's gonna be so much of the story in between that you actually cannot even plan for, that is not something that it might be inherent to the topic per se, but is very important for the particular story you might be portraying, right? Exactly. So that's what you're saying, that you should be conscious that there's going to be moments in between that they might a priori not be part of the bigger project, but then that they are going to be able to tell the story and fill in the blanks later when you put the project together.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a very good advice as well.
But yeah, other than that, I would say in terms of practice, just keep shooting. Go out and shoot. And if your project is going to involve people, get comfortable taking photos of people. Get comfortable or get good at snapping the right moment at the right time. Practice street photography, basically. Try to anticipate something that is going to happen in the street. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like, today we're going to look at some really amazing photos, but that are very, very unique moments. But I'm sure this photographer, he has been taking photos for centuries, basically. Century is 100 years. Yeah. Decades is the word I'm working for. So he's not a wizard, so it's decades, not... So anyways, what I'm trying to say is get really good and practice capturing the moment, anticipating the moment. So you see somebody's in the street, maybe like reaching for their hat to fix it, or pulling out a cigarette out of a pack and they're smoking it. It doesn't matter if these photographs fit in your project or not. Practice to capture that single photo. And, because there are so many frames in the motion of, let's say, fixing a hat or pulling a cigarette out. But try to see which one you like the most and which one you can hunt for.
Capture and but in order to do good storytelling, these action moments turn into photographs. It's gonna mean something. He actually commented that yes, it's a personal project, trying to shoot for a year and see how the project turns out. Obviously my first project, so I don't know if it's gonna go for a long project. If it's gonna go for a long project, it's a good idea or not. So
I mean, as you keep shooting and as you grow with photography and as the collection of your work can become a work of itself. So like a lot of photographers you see, they have collections that span over 50 years. And even though they don't necessarily blend together, they blend together in the sense that, so I was talking about hero shots, or the bangers as younger people now call them. And what I mean by that, if you do, let's say, from here to like in the next 50 years, you work on, I don't know, 30 projects or maybe 15, I don't know. From these 15 projects, you get 1 or 2 good photos per project. Not good photos, I mean amazing photos. The rest are good, you use them in the project, but you have
the special
ones, 2 in each project, 1 or 2 in each project. This selection can be a project of itself. So it can be Brian in and I'm not gonna dox him, in Mars. Sorry about that. Between 2021 till 2000.
I mean, this is more like a retrospective project in a sense. When I heard this question, I was thinking more also on, projects or documentary projects that you kind of go with an intention from the beginning, right? Like that those need a different type of skill set and they need a different type of preparation than shoot everything you like, learn to shoot, take with photos, work on small projects, and then you can make also a bigger project out of the beautiful photos that you get there, of course. That's also a way to do it. But since we're talking about a very young person,
the only reason that I mentioned that is because it can get daunting. Like if you go and look at some famous photographers' work, sometimes you forget that they took these photos across like a long period of time. And there was a lot of other photos that didn't even make it to the original collection that photo was selected from. And that actually there was a collection. So like the photographer took maybe 100 photos and then 15 were selected, and then if you're looking at a gallery of the best work, so it's like one of those 15 that maybe took 5 years to photograph. So that's why I'm mentioning this. Like, you just keep at it, keep shooting, keep practicing, and that's how you, I mean, if you enjoy it,
why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah, definitely.
We did get another question.
Yes, we did. The other question is, how important do you think photojournalism is today?
Yeah. What do you think?
How important in relative terms, in absolute terms? I think photojournalism is less important today than it used to be back in the days. Let's summarize it like that.
I think it
from the get-go.
I think it has less attention. Like less attention is being put on photojournalism because nowadays everybody has one of these, and it has a camera that takes please don't call the emergency. It has a camera that takes video, high resolution video, and high speed video even. Like it's just 2 clicks away. You're snapping photos, you're snapping videos. We know that young generation finds horizontal video weird. They're used to vertical videos,
Yes.
So the world is changing. We always talk about this. The fact is, if you go on like nobody's buying newspapers, like paper. Everybody's reading the newspapers. The same publications are being consumed. The ones that survived, of course, are being consumed online. So everybody's looking at their tablets, their computers, their phones. And with the advancement of the internet, it became much easier to have these videos 1 click away. Like back in the day, I think more like photography kind of boomed in a way. Like there was more places to publish your photos as a photojournalist, because if this newspaper doesn't take your photo, that website is gonna take it, right? So if it's hard for you to break into the printed publication, the internet was a place for you to get published.
You mean on the early? Yeah.
But then the internet got better and we got more bandwidth, and now videos are everywhere. They're seamless. And in most cases, if I'm speaking from my experience, like I'm lazy, I don't read as much, and I mean I find it hard to read something that doesn't captivate me quickly. I wish everybody was as good of a writer as like somebody like Tim Urban, for example, but I think maybe I'm not trying to put the blame on anybody else. I'm just lazy. I don't like to read as much. And if I go to an article and there's a video in there, I'm clicking on that video. Do you know what I mean? And I think with the advancement in technology when it comes to DSLRs and digital cameras in general, they're much easier to use. They're much easier to start working with and learning and all that stuff. So there's a boom in the amount of photographers.
Also, yeah.
And we don't know, like, what it took back in the day to become a photographer for a publication and what it takes nowadays. I'm not trying to, criticize anybody. I don't know who's working and who's not. I don't keep up with the news. This is another thing. I don't look at the news at all. But I can tell you this. Few years, like 10 years ago or so, my country was there was a big war, if you don't know. Syria still is struggling because of what happened. And there was a lot of destructions in city like Aleppo and all over the place. And because I don't look at the news, but I can't avoid that stuff. I tried my best to avoid it, but I couldn't, because I have a lot of Facebook friends from when I, back home, my friends that I grew up with, who was still there. I was already abroad. I wasn't living there when it happened. So I couldn't avoid it. I saw a lot of people posting pictures, not that they took. There was photographers on the field taking photos. There was some serious videographers also. I think Vice did a few pieces and stuff like that. And these were fascinating to watch. But most of the videos that came out, they were phone videos, in the action, basically. It was all phone stuff. So anybody who had one of these and had remember to click record, that's the video that got around on the internet. And that's how most things go around. But I can tell you this, there was a few photos that I've seen that were taken by professional photographers, like journalists. And I still remember those. From all the stuff that I've seen, I can't forget these photos. So at least to me, and I don't think it's just me, I think anybody who's seen those photos, I don't think any video would capture the feeling in
on the moment. And was it because of how the photographer was able to position themselves towards whatever scene they were photographing, or what do you think made these photos so special and different?
Well, first thing is that these photographers were there and they knew how to photograph a scene, right? Because I can go into a destroyed building and just wave my phone around and you'd be like, oh, too bad that building was destroyed. There was people living there and stuff like that. When a photographer, let's say, goes up on the hill and he shows you like the entire city, and it's that moment in time that that, because every photo is an implication that there was something happening before and something happening after. It shows you that. And I don't know, it's something about these photos. They were so eerie and so powerful. And I don't think that this is something that we can give up. I don't think society is ready to get, because regardless from the fact that I'm a fan of photography and a photographer myself, and I care about the photos, I think anybody who can see that photo, I should have pulled it up. I think anybody who sees such photos, and I mean, it's not the only one, like there's terrible things happening everywhere in the world at any moment. And at any moment. But maybe there is no one taking photos of them, and maybe there is. And if someone who look at the news more than me, you probably are aware of these things. I think it's a common thing that photographers don't get celebrated until they're gone or they're no longer with us. Like, we talked last week about Diane Arbus, who struggled during her lifetime, but was celebrated after her passing.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people like that. Vivian Mayer is another one. So I think I don't think photojournalism is less important or dead in any case. Or I just think the society is changing in a way. And I mean, pop culture has taken over the whole thing, Like, I don't keep up with the news, but I do hear about some celebrity stuff, even though I don't want to.
Yes, I know,
people shove it in your face.
Yeah, it's true. It's way more shared. I mean, I think photojournalists and like hardcore photojournalists that go out to the field and they are on the forefront of things that are very hard, things that are even dangerous sometimes. These people have very special skills. Not any photographer can do the good job that a good photojournalist can do. And it's not that there is a less need or less things happening around the world that we need less photojournalists or less good photojournalists. I don't think so. I think it's, as you say, it's the system around it that has made photojournalism perhaps a little less relevant than before because more people have access to create content that before it was only reserved for photojournalists, and also because now, be it not only in printed media like before, newspapers and so on, when we have now changed into the digital era, videos have also taken over a lot of the storytelling that photography were doing before.
Yeah, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about, because there is like, at this moment, there is two leagues of journalism, you can say. There is small publications, which are everywhere. I mean, we are kind of like a content creator, something, or some sort. Like, we're covering something. We're here talking about stuff, publishing video or sometimes photos and stuff like that, right? And there are other, like YouTube is full of people putting out stuff. There are news channels on YouTube, like Philip DeFranco, for example, and he's going to use photos and stuff like that. But this world that we're operating in, the YouTube world, for example, or the Instagram or whatever, there's a fierce competition. Like, people are just boom, 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 putting out stuff all the time, and they're trying to stay relevant, trying to be in the audience space as much as possible, right? So we're not going to be like picking and choosing, right? But then you have stuff like the big magazines and newspapers like National Geographic, Time, all these publications. Life, The Guardian, New Yorker, all of these. New Yorker?
The New Yorker exists, yeah.
And, they have amazing stuff.
New Yorker has very nice graphic design. And
yeah. What is that squeaky sound? Are you crunching something?
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear that you were here.
So, and again, most of these big publications are behind paywalls, and because I don't keep up with the news, and I think a lot of our generation is not keeping up with those big publications. And I think that's where, like, a majority of the curated work,
of the
paid work, of the commissioned work is, like somebody who's established and a great photojournalist. Like, if Cartier-Bresson, let's say, was alive today, he's not going to be publishing on TMZ. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Or maybe he is. I don't know. But I think there's also a gap there that what the majority of the public is looking at and how it's being designed. Let's see if we have anything in the chat. I can't forget these photos. Well, but they need the news and clickbait right now, so the budget for pros almost disappeared. Yeah, that's exactly right, Miguel. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like when we bring up a topic like that, we should kind of look for a silver lining or maybe suggest a solution or like something that we can actively
do or move forward or
right? How do we do that? How? Because, like, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. You need, yesterday we were in a conversation where somebody was asking how to work from photography.
How to make money.
How to make money. Yeah. And I think most of the answers were like, you have to have connections. And by connections, they mean know people, talk to people, have relations. And basically what it is, it's like any business. So if you have any kind of business, you need to market yourself. You need to put yourself out there. And I don't know what to go from there. Honestly, I don't know how we can tie this one. So basically what I'm saying is that you need to know someone in a publication, basically, to have you to publish your work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is still some newspapers, less and less and less, of course, local newspapers, because as Miguel was saying, the budgets are being reduced. They are not really, if any of the normal journalists can have a good phone or a camera that they know how to operate, at least because cameras are easier and easier to operate, they are perhaps going to take away the budget from having a professional photographer towards buying a couple of cameras for the bureau, and then the journalists that are doing other things can also do photography. That's a way that they can cut costs, and then photography is less important for them in a sense. But I do think that if anybody's studying photography or they are thinking of perhaps working as photojournalists, the way to go is to try to find internships in places where they might have openings for photographers to do actual photojournalism work, right? And then try to also shoot for the people that they are good and you can learn from them, and try to get the connections that way, in a sense. Everything is connections. Before, it was also everything connections. How many stories have we read of famous photographers that I think is not that they're bad, but I think they were in the right place at the right time. And that is important, has been important always, and it will still be important. You need to know the people that will give you the access to doing the things that you want to do. As you say, nowadays,
you can do something crazy, like one of the photographers we're going to talk about today.
Nice, smooth.
Right?
Yes, that's true.
You like this segue, huh?
Yeah, nice.
All right, let's look into this.
All right.
So what are we looking at here?
What are we looking at here? We're looking at photographs of people, full bodies of people. But the cool thing about these photos is that they are actually life-size photos.
Right.
This means that the photos that you are seeing, if you would have them in front of you, you will be seeing a person as the size of the person is.
So this here you can see the photographer, and he's standing next to the photos, right? So you might think these are prints, but they're not. These are Polaroids, and they're life-size. So you can see this man right here is as big as the life-size person standing next to it. These were a lot of people when they hear the biggest Polaroid, they think of the actual Polaroid camera that is what was it, 20 by 24 inches?
Yeah.
So it's a real like
a large format Polaroid camera.
But it's extra large format.
It's not really the biggest one.
Apparently, this photographer, Joe McNally, I think I'm pronouncing the name right.
Yes.
He after the events of 9/11, he put together this giant camera. Basically, operates in the same principle as if you guys watched. I think it was episode 2. of the podcast.
Brendan Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the work of Brendan, because we tried to get more photos of this one. This camera's giant Polaroid is called Moby C.
Yeah. So actually, this camera was made by Lan himself originally because he wanted to make the biggest Polaroid that he could actually physically make.
Okay.
He said, like, I want to make the biggest Polaroid camera that I
possible.
Possible. And he made this box.
All right.
That is so huge.
All right.
That only two people have to actually operate it.
Yeah. So exactly. We can like talk more about the specs. So you have them there. But it's basically a camera obscura.
Yes. That's it.
It's a little bit different than the stuff Brendan was. Brandon. Sorry, I missed the name.
Brandon?
I don't know. He was working with because he would use apertures and shutters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This one is going to work a bit differently. Eva will explain it in a minute. But what it is it's a room basically, or a box, big box, and you walk inside and you operate it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you can have a huge surface to put the photos on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to tell us how this camera works?
Yes.
While I flick through the photos.
All right. So this camera, it's, as Jimmy said, it's a very big box. It will fit a person inside. And then basically that box has a lens on it. But this lens does not really have a shutter. That means that the lens is open at all times. So the way that they took these photos is they will get the person to come to pose in front of the camera. They will put the person there. And inside the camera, there will be an operator that would be looking at the projection of the subject into the focus plane. That's where the big Polaroid, let's say, not cartridge, big Polaroid surface or is going to be.
It's more like a peel apart.
Like a peel apart.
Apart.
It's like a big peel apart Polaroid piece. So in that, they would check that the focus is right. And an important key thing of this, and it was difficult to focus because inside the camera, there is very, very little light coming in from the outside. So they will have to really, in a very dim situation, find the focus. Normally, they would do it with the key light in the subject's eyes. And then the way that you would actually focus, because this is a big box that you don't really move because it's very heavy and very difficult to work with, you will have to tell the person that is posing to move either front or backwards until you get the right exposure. Once this happens, then all the lights in the room are turned off. Remember, because this is an open lens. And with the lights turned off, then the operator puts the Polaroid in the camera in the focal plane, and then a huge strobe will shine.
What was it, 1,000 watts or?
30,000.
30,000, yeah.
30,000 watts of strobe will flash and will project for a fraction of a second that image into the Polaroid. Then everything will be dark again because still, remember, the Polaroid is inside and the lens is open. And then a person inside the box will push the photo up through some rollers that would activate the chemistry, which is how Polaroid pictures are actually developed. That's why they go out of the camera.
They have to put the paper on it first.
No, that was after.
Okay.
So then they put it out, and then once the chemistry has come into the photo, it starts developing, they would put it in the ground. They would put a paper on top of it when it was dry, and then they would put it into some cabinets that were very big to store it and to let it finalize the print. So that was the work to take one photo. And what we're seeing here, I don't know if you mentioned, Jimmy, these are 4 front workers on the aftermath of 9/11.
First responders.
So these are people, what they did was actually to have the studio right down by ground zero, and people that were working there for one reason or another, you are seeing all these photos, would come in as they were coming out of their work or coming in into their shift, and will pose for him, and he will capture these people in the very moment that they were being part of this craziness that 9/11 was. So I really like that he decided to use this machine for this particular project. You can think that the photos are better or worse. It's simple. It's a subject in front of a white background, light, but light with a very strong strobe. There is no magic there. This is what it is. But the fact that they are taken in life size, the fact that they are taken in the moment they were taken, they're so special. They work for 3.5 weeks, I think it was, and they took 250 photos. Those 250 something photos, they portrayed 272 different people, 5 dogs and 1 tortoise. And I think it's just beautiful that he actually, so the story of this camera, because I went into to read a little bit more about the camera, when was it actually built, who built it, what was the idea behind it, is a one of a kind. There's no other one. During the time that it was actually owned by Polaroid, when they made it, there was one person that knew how to operate this camera. When Polaroid went bankrupt, they decided to sell it. And there was a guy that actually bought it and moved it from Boston, where it was originally, to New York, I believe. And actually the operator and his wife, they decided to move to New York to actually help this guy still work with this camera. The guy used it, I think, for some projects, but they also started to rent it out for projects or people that would want to use it for their own work. Renting this camera was $2,000 a day plus $300 per print that you would actually get from the camera. But that included this guy, the guy that knew how to use it very well, in the price. So he would actually be with you there to help you out taking the photos. So this Joe McNally guy, he actually was commissioned a work by National Geographic on getting to know how these prints were actually having a very huge tonal range. That's what I understood. And was working with a ballerina from the National Ballet and was taking photos with this camera for a while for a piece on the camera in itself. So he had known how to use the camera. So when 9/11 happened, this was right before 9/11 apparently, he woke up and thought, oh wow, how good it would be to use this camera that I just used for this particular project. So he pitched down the idea to some people, and then within like days or something, like a huge amount of money was put down to actually make this project happen. Because of course the camera, you will have to get it from the person that owned it, but also all the prints. And I couldn't find any information of who is making the film. You know, like they're huge films, a lot of chemicals.
It was Polaroid.
But I guess they had a lot of backlog of already made.
I mean, you know that the 20x24 camera that is still operating till now is still operating on chemistry made I don't know how many years ago.
Yeah, so I guess they had a lot of. Okay, so that's why I couldn't find like if anyone else took over making film for that camera or not. There's still some.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of barrels left of the chemical stuff. I think now they're running low, as I heard.
I mean,
some people talk.
This is like fossil fuels. It's going to finish at some point, I guess.
Right? Nobody's making any more because you know about Super Sense store. I think they make the pack film.
The new 55 or no?
The pack film, the color, and I don't know if they make black and white. What is it called? Anybody in the chat help me? What is it called? Moment, one moment, or something like that.
One something.
1 instant.
1 instant? No.
I don't know what it's called. It's the new peel apart stuff.
Yes, I know. It's called New 55.
No. New 55 is different.
It's also peel apart.
Yeah, but it's a different company.
Okay.
That one is, and I think I don't know if they're still working, but that's in the US.
Maybe it's 1 instant. Let me just check it out.
I know Super Sense is the name of the store.
Super Sense?
Super Sense store.
Yeah, it's 1 instant.
1 instant. So they actually buy stuff from like the leftovers to make those things. And at least that's what I remember from an interview I saw somewhere. And let's not go into that. But yeah, I mean, I that's exactly how, like, my segue, if you remember, was talking about how you mentioned that these photos are not necessarily special in any way. But the fact that it's all the what do you call it? The theatricals
Yeah.
around how the photos were made.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beautiful. Like when you were describing the camera, I was looking at these photos zooming in and looking at all details. And to think that these were shot with Polaroid with all that detail is crazy. Like there is no
Right?
way you can get something like this in the current Polaroid film. I mean, I'm surprised that these are Polaroids. I mean, if you compare them to something like a more modern camera, you know, maybe like a digital Hasselblad or something like that, you know, you wouldn't be so amazed by these photos. But the fact that they are
Polaroid,
and for the time, I don't think there was like I don't know, what is this, like 11 years ago? No, wait, 20 years ago. Sorry. Math is not my strong suit. I think you guys by now know that. Yeah, 20 years ago, these photos are amazing. I mean,
I understand why Joe McNally was making a piece on the tonality range of this film, because it's just incredible, the amount of detail.
Yeah, like this is Polaroid. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know what I mean? And the fact that it's the original is life size.
Yeah, it must be so amazing to see it.
Of course, you know, like we can't like gloss over the fact that, yeah, but it cost a lot of money. He was working commissioned by National Geographic and all that stuff. So like for somebody who's starting out, they're going to be like, there's no way I can have a project like that. Mm-hmm. But again, you know, the world is changing. These stuff at the time were like state of the art, let's say. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, all this information is existing. I mean, you can still do something great. You know, we know Brendan is doing a lot of projects with his camera obscura stuff. Yes. You know, and that's one way of creating a magic around the work, bringing attention to it, because I think we complain a lot about the fact that, you know, the world is, nobody cares. But I think it's because so many great things are being done. Mm. So in order for anybody to shine or to show or to get any attention, mm-hmm. they need to do something extraordinary. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was just trying to say that this can be an inspiration for you to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. And not you personally, for all of us to think outside the box and try to come up with something creative about the process as well. That's one way of going at it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like when, like, I didn't know about this until you told me, and I just find it very, very fitting for the particular project. Yeah.
There is another photographer who was taking photos, very also special photos, mm-hmm. In the aftermath of 9/11. And that photographer is basically famous for a lot of things. Not necessarily, these photos are hard to find. They're not published anywhere.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna look at the Google search images.
Mm-hmm. And just show some of
because they were only published in a book. So we plan on getting the book someday. But
the thing is that I also found that these photos should be part of the national galleries, like the national archives of the US, because they're so important, and you know. Yeah, but I couldn't have access to them. I couldn't find it.
I saw so these photos, of course, were taken by Joel Meyerowitz, mm-hmm. and he was the only photographer who had access to the ground zero, basically, mm-hmm. in the aftermath of the incident.
For 9 months.
For 9 months. So nobody else, no other photographer were allowed to go in. And this is the other aspect that is, I mean, of course, Joel was, at this point, was active for what?
He started in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's already 40 years in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he got access to go in. Was it with a large format camera, right?
I think he mixed. They had different type of work, but the photos I've seen that are more striking is him with his 8x8, which is 8x10, which is very big camera. So I think a lot of the photos that are published were taken with a large format. Yes.
Yeah, and so he tells the story in an interview with Fotografiska, which is it's the Swedish Museum of Photography, but they also have
one in New York.
But it started in Sweden. That's why the name is in Swedish. And they talk to him about this project, and he tells the story of how he talked to the mayor. And
he tells the story of how he actually went in to take photos right the day after, and he was
he wasn't there the day after,
or like 1 week after. He was away
there, but he was away with his wife somewhere on vacation, and then 9/11 happens, and they try to get back, and they couldn't go into the city. And so he goes and talks to the mayor. I think if I remember correctly, I highly recommend watching the interview. I didn't link it yet in the description, but I will link it after this. And he goes in and he gets access. At first, if I remember correctly telling the story, he was saying that he didn't immediately agree. But he had to negotiate a little bit and like tell him about the importance of this being documented. And I'm sure he had his name was established, and he had connection. He had people who can have his back in making that decision solid. And we got these amazing, insane photos, really.
I know that he told that he was rejected a couple of times before, when he, like, the first photos that he tried to take, the people around, like the police and everything, they were like, no, you cannot take photos here. And he was like, yes, I can take, this is public space, this is my city, I will take photos of it. And then the whole aftermath, that he actually was the only one that got access. I think, didn't he also mention that he fully financed the whole project himself?
I don't remember
at the beginning. I think we were mentioning, it's like, look, like someone him, he had to, he said he put his, like, something with the house or something like that. That then he actually sold the other house where they were having holidays when this happened, actually. But, and of course, this has generated a lot of not only historical material, which is really important, it has also created revenue by books and exhibitions and everything like that. But imagine that this is
also the fact that you were the only like, that's priceless.
I know, of
the
course.
fact that he got access to be in there with his large format camera, standing in there where nobody else is allowed unless they're working. So that's priceless in my opinion.
But I think it's just crazy to think that a photographer like him, a 40-year career, well-known, renowned photographer, still has to finance himself this kind of groundbreaking work, because he cannot find anybody that would pay for his job doing this. It's just crazy to me.
I mean, I agree, but I'm sure, like, if his goal was to publish them somewhere, like, because he ended up making a book.
Yeah, of course, and it was published with Phaidon. It's really good publishing house and everything.
What I'm saying is that if his goal was to send them to newspapers, it's like they would have been running at it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but like,
maybe
I think
Joel is, maybe we can have him one day and ask him about it more in detail.
It's just because this kind of work should be seen. I'm not going to say as important as the firefighters that are taking away the debris, but this is also a job for the country and for the city.
For history.
For history, but it's not really seen the same way, and it's a little bit sad. So.
Oh, you mean by the authorities?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Definitely. But we need people like Joel who actually had to, because I don't think if he didn't go to the mayor and say, hey, I want to go and I want to photograph this, would they have hired somebody who take photos?
I don't think so. I don't think
so.
By how the story went, I think they weren't even thinking about it. They were just thinking about, okay, we need to fix this, we need to try to do as much as we can. They weren't thinking about, let's photograph this or let's document this, especially because it was such a sensitive thing that happened.
So I think that, like, the silver lining here, the takeaway is that it's our job as photographers. If you are someone who is interested in photojournalism, who's interested in doing documentary work, you have to do it regardless of like you have to forget about the financial
Circumstances.
gains and just do it for the love of the game, as they say. And you have to fight for it. And when you do that, you get to kind of get closer and closer to greatness. I mean, Joel is a great example. I'm not saying that his legacy depends on this project, but it's a part of it for sure. And we know that you guys love to look at beautiful photos with us every week. So let's browse some of Joel's work. And as we were looking at these photos, we both noticed the same thing.
Without talking to each other first.
Yeah. Is that these photos are so influential, I feel like, to a lot of the photographers that we see nowadays. Like, I mean...
in our social media and in our, channels.
Right?
This one gives me rainy days vibes so much.
I feel like a lot of these, like very popular photographers that, like the most popular film photographers that exist on YouTube,
right now, are taking very similar.
Are very
photos.
Inspired by this work. Very inspired.
Very inspired. Actually, it came to me because I was looking into the books that he had published, because he has published a lot of books, and I came across a couple of books from the 70s, and some of the photos, they gave me all this vibe of like, these film photographers that are photographing the motels and the hotels where they're staying, kind of California vibe. You have like, I don't know, the way that the colors are rendered and the light is chosen to take the photos is very, very similar, like very similar style.
Yeah. I think since all of this was shot on film, that's the thing. When we talk about how people like try to recreate processes and try to, emulate stuff, and I say it's not the same, not because I don't necessarily like, you can get kind of the end result, but it's not about the end result. It's about the process. It's about the challenges that you have to face in making, and say challenges. I mean, sometimes when you're trying to make your printer connect to your computer, it doesn't work. That's a challenge. That's the type of challenge that I'm talking. So these steps that you have to take in making those images and photographs and stuff like that, depending on the method that you're using, you're going to have different steps and different challenges along the way. And these kind of dictate the final result in a way. Like they don't dictate it, but they have an effect on it. They have a... So when you're shooting film, it's gonna look a certain way, and and if you try to if you see some stuff in the initial result that you don't like, maybe you're trying to fix this and get rid of this and add this, you're somehow gonna end up in the same place. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
CM is actually saying here, the book Cape Light was very influential for today's YouTubers.
Exactly.
We agree, definitely.
We were literally talking about those photos. Some of these actually are from that book. Like, I'm pretty sure this one is from that collection. We can go to Joel's website, and here there are selected works. And then if we go to Cape Light...
On the meantime, I can say that Joel was one of the pioneers of color photography, of actually also making art with color photography. When he started, it was the 60s. The color photography started to be more popular. Color photography was kind of thought that it was an amateur thing to use. So professional photographers would be shooting in black and white, and then color, it was more for the household type of photography. But he actually defended and showed that color photography can also be beautiful and can also be artful. And he's also a pretty not very one jack of all trades photographer. He has photography that is
he's a street photographer for like more than anything else.
But he also
like, if you show me these photos, from what I've known, before we dug in deeper, I would have not guessed that this is Joel.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I would have guessed somebody. I would have guessed somebody recent.
Me too.
You know, like
of
if
course.
you show me, I will say, like this could be what's his name, Dino Kuznik.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I totally see like the direct inspiration from this work. Hey Cedric, you just joined.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Hi.
So yeah, these
ones also.
I don't know.
mean,
I'm not sure when they're taken. They're not dated.
if it's
but,
from what collection is this? Because I cannot read. Cape Light?
Yeah.
That's 78, 76.
Insane. You know what I mean? Insane. The fact that these photos, they look so current.
But it's because what we've been exposed to and what the people are taking. It's like, but definitely, like,
I had no idea.
Yeah. So
I had no idea that all this inspiration was coming from here.
Yeah. So it's what we learned here. The way of working with architecture, how to portray the buildings with the surroundings, the right moment and lighting that is being chosen is very influenced by Joel's work. I feel. He's a street photographer. He has also, look, for example, that one that you just showed.
I want to show this one.
And that one too.
This one is a crazy photo. I mean, look at what's going on here. What is happening? There's a bunch of cars over there, a person on their bike looking back at the incident, which is this man on the floor. And this guy is trying to pass over. He's going somewhere. He's like not even affected by this. I mean, I hope he didn't attack him because he's holding a hammer. He's just trying to go to work somewhere. And this man is, what is happening here? You know? And this is, thank you for pointing that out.
Paris, 1967.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, what is happening?
Now knowing that it's Paris, like, imagine that you would see like a man with a baguette like walking there, that it would fit so well.
They have a guy with a hammer.
Yeah, no, what?
He's just going somewhere. He doesn't care about any of this. Like, everybody else is looking at the man on the floor.
Yes.
Except the guy right on top of him is like, oh, I don't care about this. Not my business. I have some nails to hammer down.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good one.
Yeah. These are like, again, I don't know, in terms of color photography, in terms of street photography, very rarely somebody who shot in that style shot in color. Yeah, like, I've seen a lot of work like this from, like, this one is in 63, for example.
I mean, we should not forget that Vivian Mayer also did some work in color. And actually, this is another piece of trivia. Joel is one of the authors of one of Vivian Mayer's work, which is the color book. And he is also creator of the Finding Vivian Mayer documentary. So he was very aware later when everything was discovered about how good and important Vivian Mayer's color work was for the time that she shot it, because he was doing the same thing. So that's kind of interesting. That's
really cool. I mean, these chaotic compositions that actually are very beautiful. This is like one of the I feel like the most, for me at least personally, the most difficult things when it comes to street photography. So
Cedric is actually commenting, gotta watch that bit of him where he speaks about rangefinders and looking of what's happening, being aware of your surroundings so you can anticipate when things fall together in a frame. Yeah,
he has this technique where he usually shoots with a Leica. I can't believe all these cameras in this place. I don't have one.
Which one do you want? I can bring it to you.
Any one with a viewfinder on the left.
You want the Yashica?
I can go bring hold on, I'll go bring one. Keep the conversation going.
Okay. I'm not sure what he's trying to... I guess he's going to show you how you will have one eye that you can still see what's going on around, and then one eye on your camera to try to frame and focus. So, yeah, actually, I think that is a very specific skill that you can only get by shooting, and being out and shooting once more. Because it's not something that comes inherent to people without actually some training and skills. All right.
What happened to my hair? All right. So I'm back. So he wasn't probably using one of these because this is gigantic. But this is the closest thing I have to a Leica. It's the Texas Leica, and with you can see photos actually of Joel holding the camera in this exact position, where he puts the viewfinder on the right eye and keep the other eye open. So I don't know. Hold on, can you see me? So now I'm looking through this one and through this one, and I can see everything outside. I can see everything outside the viewfinder. So if something is coming into the frame, I can see it because I have full view. And actually, this works quite well. I didn't feel like I was
looking through the viewfinder. This is because our brain kind of put together the both images that you're getting.
It depends. You have to try different focal length and see what fits you what fits you best. I feel like stuff like the Leica, where it's just a window, or like the Fuji cameras, they have just a window with frame lines. This is how this one is. And you just look through, and then you take the photo.
You see when things are happening and when they come into your frame, and then you take it. No, definitely, Joel's, the photos that you were showing, it's very skillful on the compositions when they seem very chaotic and there's a lot of things going on.
There was we were looking at one of these. I think this one was really cool.
That's the Empire State. Yeah. That's very nice.
These are very nice, very sharp images. There was this one that you really enjoyed.
I really like this one. This has to be taken with a 8x10. I swear to you.
This one from the detail?
Yes.
I mean, the aspect ratio says 8x10.
Oh, at least.
You know, I mean, you can crop, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was large format.
I mean, there's a difference. You see it.
One of these galleries was street. This one, first one. And here
is that a monkey?
Yeah, somebody is walking, holding a monkey, and there's a woman with a baby in her. I don't know, like a harness.
Like Baby Bjorn.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And I mean, this has to be New York. This craziness.
Yeah, definitely. Central Park.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! The shadows.
The shadows falling perfectly on these two women.
What?
Yeah, crazy stuff. And I mean, again, like this man was on the street every day.
Yeah, we talked about
every day, taking
like
photos,
you have
taking photos. You know, and I'm not saying that this is not taken away from what he did.
No, of course.
You know, it's not like, of course he's gonna take amazing photos, because if you go on the street every day, no, you can still mess it up.
You can still miss stuff.
You can still take really bad photos every day. You know, I'm not saying everybody, you know, but I think it's clear what I'm trying to say here. You gotta put in the hours, and practice. It's just this making me want to go out. The only problem is I go out, there's nobody. It's a desert out there. It's like a brick desert.
Also, there's a lot of rain and
we don't have a quarantine. It's just normal.
No, but like people, even if we don't have quarantine, there is much less things to do around, I would say. So that's why less people.
Yeah.
Also, the weather. It's not summer. The light. It will get better. I hope.
Yeah. It's never summer.
It's never summer.
At best, we get spring. Is
that a tiger? But not a real tiger. Sorry, I saw before.
Where? There? No. There? How delayed are you watching?
I don't know, because I just watched here suddenly. Yeah. It's okay.
Because there was a photo of a tiger. It's really cool, but I think that was in a different album.
Here, I also like, I mean, the fact that
this is a horse.
Some of the photos.
This is a fallen horse.
It doesn't matter if they are tilted, if they are like, like it's just what it was taken in the moment. Yeah. That's it. I'm not going to straighten up. This is the action in the moment. What was happening.
I mean, try posting any of these on the Discord groups and
Why did you grab the feet?
Straight. It's tilted. Blah blah blah. I mean, I don't know. I'm guilty of it too.
Here they're talking. It's kind of funny. Cherie says it's a good idea of that technique, but I'm left eye dominant. And then says it sounds like an amazing skill. I wish that my eye was trained better. I don't have a rangefinder. Then Cherie's just like, get one. I know that Sherry really loves her Canonet, so she's probably thinking about using that one.
By the way, really cool photos, Shri. I saw on Instagram the mountain ranges. Really nice photos, really nice tones. You can do like this, you know. Or who? Shri.
No, Sherry.
You can do like this. So you can still see from this eye. Right?
Yes.
And you're holding it like this.
Can you hold it the other, like upside down fully?
That would be too cumbersome. I mean, you can, basically, but everything is inverted. Like, you can hold it like this. And all your photos will be upside down. You can
Doesn't matter. You don't have after.
I know, but then how would you like everything?
You have that second button in that camera.
In this camera, you have, but then you have your shutter speed and stuff on a Leica, for example. Everything, all the settings would be here.
I'm just trying to find solutions.
So you can go you can go vertical. Vertical is the way. I miss this camera. I really want to shoot with it more.
We can go tomorrow. Shoot with it.
Yeah. Maybe we will. Really nice colors everywhere. I mean, oh, this one is so nice. Where was it? It was from the car. From the car with the, yes. Yeah.
Those are nice. So these are basically photos that you snap while you are going somewhere.
This one's really cool because he's in the car.
Yeah.
And she's in the car.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's in the back seat.
I guess. I hope.
I mean, I've done some driving and snapping at the same time, but I wasn't on a road like this. I was probably like on a traffic light or something. I would grab the camera and take a photo. Usually with which one is it? With the 90 millimeter. It's perfect for street photography from the car.
Yes.
This one you liked is really nice.
I liked it. The like kind of juxtaposition of the trees and it's like there's a battle about to happen there, like so.
Yeah.
You see, this is what I mean. Like, this is in Spain, by the way.
Yeah.
And the colors are a bit weird, right?
I really wonder what's happening here with the colors.
So let's ask our people here. What do you think is going on with the colors here? Do you think he was shot in the Spire film?
I'm really curious. I really want to ask him what's happening here. Because there's a bunch of these photos where there's a strong magenta cast on the highlights. Or on the high mids, let's say. Like, look at the skin tones. I don't know. I think it was like in that period, he was like trying to do stuff creatively. I mean, this one looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is a look. You know, like you can say, is that in Turkey?
It's either in Turkey or a Turkish
Turkey.
building in somewhere like an embassy.
I don't know. I really would like to know. Yeah, how come they have these colors?
They look like something happened with the development.
Yeah, definitely. That's what it gives me the vibe. But you know, like maybe it was done in purpose. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I am curious to know the story behind these images. And this one is really cool.
That one, yeah.
Because you can see like there's like almost a mirror, but it's not a real mirror. It's like a metaphorical mirror. Because he's in a car taking a photo of a tiger, while also in the same photo you have the other photographer over there who's in the same position.
Yeah.
In terms of, sitting in the passenger seat and taking a photo of a tiger. And that's so cool. Hold on, I want to go back to that one and see if I can zoom in and see if the other one is also.
This is what I was gonna ask you. Like, can we zoom in, see if we can guess which camera is it?
What do you think this camera is?
So hot.
The screen.
It's not.
She's referring to the screen.
Yeah. No, it's you. It's not a Leica. I don't think it's a Leica. Anybody? Any guesses?
No guesses. They're busy discussing gear in the chat.
Of course. I mean, we're talking gear, so.
Yeah, but they're discussing different gear. What is happening in the chat?
They're talking about. CM gave himself a Leica M2 as a Christmas present. Good Christmas present. You are very, very generous to yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I can't keep up with the
They
conversation.
were talking about the rangefinders and the type of camera to use with the technique that you were showing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Cedric was saying that that's why he loves his Fuji's X100 and X Pro.
By the way, you can still use it with no rangefinder. Just saying.
Yeah.
If you have a, so we were trying it the other day with the, which one was it? Remember we were sitting in Kankane and we were trying. I was showing this technique to Sameh, and then I was saying that people have kind of different focal length in their eyes.
Yeah.
So like for me, if I put it between 50 and 75, usually
It's more or less.
it doesn't feel like I'm looking through a camera. So I put it horizontally if in a SLR.
Mm-hmm.
So I shoot horizontally and I put
I
the
think
camera.
we were using the Yashica T3 because that's the one that we normally have.
No. He had his camera.
Oh,
with
okay. So there's a
it.
Minolta.
We had it was a Minolta
Yeah,
with a
a
zoom
Minolta.
lens, with a kit lens.
Yeah.
And so we were trying different zooms, and you had a wider vision than I did. I remember that.
Mhm.
And that's why like you prefer the 35. I
somehow.
prefer the 50 to 75, 85 range.
Mhm.
Because for me, it feels more comfortable. Like if I put it on my eye, it feels like I'm not looking through something.
Yeah, I think maybe I am looking alive on a 35 millimeter.
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, because you also don't we have this conversation when we're driving that you always tell me when you're driving you're looking like wide like in front of you,
Yeah.
which is a zoom type of vision,
Mhm.
where I think I'm looking more about what's happening around in a sense. So
Mhm.
I guess I do pay more attention, or like at least I don't focus on the things forward. Maybe
I don't
it's
know.
interesting. You need to get to know how you see in order to see how to apply it to photography.
Yeah, I think we talked about this last week, and like it's a good idea for beginners to like. Usually, we always recommend get a prime lens instead, like ditch the kit and get a prime. But then maybe get a prime and find
a zoom.
get a kit lens, a zoom lens, and try it at different ones and find your preferred prime.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might get a 50 and you hate it. Who knows? Maybe you're an 85 person or a 35 or 28. You're gonna pay more for a 35 prime.
Yeah.
If you want it to be as fast. If you're going for the 1.8. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What is this sign? It's a sleepy town. Look at it. ZZYZX.
I passed by this one actually. This has to be. I think it might be in the way from Vegas to Salt Lake City that I told you, because I remember seeing this. I don't know. I'm actually gonna check where it is. ZZYZX. ZZYZX
Road.
It's in California. Actually, it's in California. It's yeah.
How do you say that?
I don't know how you say it. You don't say it, I guess. It's actually near Palm Springs. Can it be?
I don't know.
It's near Mojave National Desert.
Yeah, cool.
So it's actually in between LA and Las Vegas.
Yeah, Shuri confirms. By the way, Shuri, if you're someone if you like that stuff, you would like this one. This camera. It's really nice. It's a
big
she's saying that she's finds it more like I find like I like shooting 35 to 40 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
This one is kind of there with the focus breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
I really like that camera.
What was it?
I want to shoot with it more.
39 to 41 was it with the focus breathing?
What do you mean?
Like the equivalent view of this?
Yeah, I think so.
Is I think it was 39 to 41.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep looking at pictures. I get distracted. I forget that I have to operate this thing.
Sorry, I cannot help with that.
Maybe we should connect the wireless keyboard and mouse. Then we can fight over it. Oh, this one is so cool. This is like... is this from the car? No.
I don't know.
No. It is from the car.
It is from the car. So it's taken from the car. Maybe he stopped though.
Yeah, because like how lucky it is that this sprinkler is hitting the pole.
Yeah.
And he was there to take the photo.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful composition too. Really, really nice. And those perfectly placed clouds.
Mm-hmm.
You see it's like one cloud, and then one splash of water.
Mm-hmm.
About like soon to be cloud.
Uh-huh.
And then cloud. Oh, what did I do? Yeah. Very cool stuff. I mean, I wish like we can have a talk with Joel one day for you guys
That would be
and ask him to tell us the stories behind some of his favorite photographs.
Yeah.
You know, that would
I
be a
agree.
thing. I really want to do that one day, like
Yeah.
to hear it from the photographers, all the
Yes.
stories. That was one of my favorite things about the
Fireside chats.
by Silver Grain Classics.
Yeah, but
If you guys
also,
haven't seen those,
I would get so
Go watch them.
frustrated because I wanted to more and more, and they have like 5 guests, and then they don't have time
Yeah.
for every guest to like talk more, and I'm like, no, I don't want to know about the new company that is making this. I want to hear these photographers telling me how they're taking these photos. And
I wish they split them out more and like did more of them.
I mean, they did good with what they did because, Silver Grain Classics is a paid magazine. So to get access to the content, you had to buy it. And the fact that it was 2020, everyone at home, the fact that they decided to do this for everyone, it was also nice.
Yeah.
Even though now it's on hiatus, they say they might come back to it, but
Yeah.
there's no...
Yeah, but if you, a lot of people missed them when they were live. They're on their YouTube channel. Go check them out. They're really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not sponsored to say this. We just really like the fact that they did these interviews with beautiful
I really like
really
that
good
David
photographers.
Burnett talk as well. That was very nice. He was a funny people.
Tweet at him. Tell him to join us.
Yes, say hey, come to talk to.
We'll do a 4 hours podcast. And he can tell
problem.
us
Everything.
I mean, as long as he wants to go. We don't have any time limit. He can tell us all the photos, the stories behind them.
We have a lot of gigabytes in our computers to get it all. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
So what do you think? Anything else we want to cover, or
I think...
should we end it short today?
Well, short.
I think we're on time.
It's 30 minutes, yeah, so it's approximately like other episodes. No, I think we covered the things we wanted to talk about. Anything you guys want to comment on the topics we went through today? You guys were a little bit silent when we were talking about the 9/11 coverage. I think maybe it's also a sensitive topic, but I think it was a very good leeway between, talking about photojournalism, documentary work.
Yeah,
what makes it special.
Some people came in late as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And we did talk about that. We did mention have a small discussion about documentary work and the state of photojournalism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anybody here in the chat is keeping up with the news? Like anybody reads the news? I don't know. Do you?
I mean, I go through the main page of a couple of newspapers like twice a week or something like that.
You do?
Yeah, a little bit. But
when?
I told you today that the Prince of England died.
Oh, that's true. You did tell me. You do always tell me the news.
At least the things that I find, there's a lot of things that I don't keep up with. For example, a lot of things that are happening in Spain, politically or whatever. I just I can't deal with some of the stuff. So it's a little bit like wanted to get the news about the war back in the days and stuff. There are things that I'm just there is so much confusion about what is being said. I keep up with the news about coronavirus because it has to do also with my job. Yeah. So I try to be a little bit about that. And then, I am also of the
You're
philosophy.
Also the news machine, actually. I almost forgot about that.
But also, I think
when it comes to antibiotic research.
I mean, it's my job. I have to kind of be monitoring things. But I also am of the... I have a friend that he says, if there's something important enough, it will get to me.
All right. So, see, I mean, I go with that mentality is that if there's something worth knowing about, I will know about it. CM is saying that he reads 3 to 4 newspapers online every day.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on it, CM? Tell us, what do you think? Do you see, what do you think is the state of photojournalism? Is it, I don't know. Give us your opinion on it. We'd like to hear it from you. Cedric is saying, I follow photojournalism actualities and keep up with general news, but the 24/7 news culture is not for me. All right. So you guys, since as someone who doesn't keep up with the news at all, I would like to hear it from you. Because CM, I don't know. I haven't seen your work. I'm not sure if I have you on Instagram.
Because it's another name, maybe.
Yeah, Cedric, I've seen your work. You're a photographer, and mostly you work with the Cedric. For those who don't know, it actually works with the news.
Yeah.
As a
Cameraman.
a video cameraman. And I've seen your work with video, really nice stuff. And I'm interested to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on photojournalism? Leave them in the chat and we will read them. Meanwhile, I will keep looking at these photos by Joel.
Yeah, this is the moment where we remind, if you're listening to this on an audio version, because I keep track actually of people that are listening to it on the audio platforms, which are some of them. Yeah. Very nice. I'm very happy to see those numbers. But when we're talking about this kind of work, it's always good if you can either come to the channel and check the photos or join us next time live, obviously, and be with us here. From now on, we're going to do 7 p.m., right? It's a better time. We're still doing Fridays for now. We are considering changing to another day, but we are not so sure about it yet.
Yeah.
But
otherwise,
7 p.m.
We might have to keep pushing it because soon the sun will be blasting through.
But I think this light it overcomes some of the light from outside. It was light for a moment.
It was light, but it was cloudy. Luckily, because it started to rain. Yeah. Because if the sun blasts like it usually does. Yeah. I'm not on CM is saying I'm not on Instagram. I print black and white with enlarger and give prints to friends. Well, that's really cool. I wish I can find a place to see your work.
Maybe some exhibition somewhere someday.
Yeah. I believe Cedric saying I believe it's been hit hard in the last decade. Photojournalists have always struggled, but now it's gotten to the point where it's only sustainable for a select few. Yeah, that's basically what we were saying, is that I think it's because of the... my assumption is that it's because of the way the media is nowadays, and there's only few big publications that are actually paying for like quality work. Everybody else is just racing
and it's shrinking
for clickbait titles, for just covering the news. Not necessarily quality is not the selection point. Or what am I saying? Not the breaking point. Is like who can get the photos faster, videos, vertical videos, everything goes on most media publications. From what I see online, at least.
Very few. There's still some, of course. Yeah. We really hope that this is not a profession that dies out, because I still think that the power of a photograph in a journalism context is very important, and it cannot be fully substituted by videos or illustrations. Photos are important. So I hope that it doesn't really completely go extinct as a profession.
I don't think in publication it will. Like, photos are powerful. We talked about this in the beginning, and what I would say, it's just that most people like read their news on Twitter and stuff like that, and like on Twitter, if you're scrolling, a video passes by and it starts playing directly, unless you change it in the settings or something like that.
I don't know.
So but if you're scrolling on Twitter or on Facebook, a video starts playing and then you're engaged, and they can hook you in the first few seconds. And sometimes with a photograph, it has to be, like, most of the time nowadays is clickbait and stuff like that. And I see the point of like the photography struggling, but as you guys mentioned, I think it's always been a hard job to do, especially if you want to be like, really good at it, basically. But still, and it's not easy, like
it's a hard job.
You have to, a lot of times you have to travel, you have to be in situations where it's dangerous. But if you're, back to Yuno's question, if you're trying to work on a project, on a documentary project, don't feel discouraged. Just go after it, man. Have fun with it.
Definitely.
We're getting a lot of messages.
Nice.
Okay, so...
Actually, CM says, my darkroom is basically from a Swedish newspaper who went digital and then fired all the photographers.
Wow. That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's what we were saying as well. He's saying that photojournalism has been replaced by whatever people can
phones,
capture
yeah.
on their phones. To be fair, it seems Andrew Wiggin. To be fair, it seems the standard for a photograph that can be published have gotten very low as well. I agree that
We were talking about that
mentioned
before.
that in the beginning. Except in a few newspapers, exactly. We mentioned that, like maybe, like National Geographic, Time, New Yorker. These are gonna be very selective about their work, but everybody else is just racing to put the news out. Oh, cool. He's all right. He just told me the Discord name,
Ah, okay.
so now I know what the guy is. Cool. Nice. Cedric is saying there is hope in NGO work for photojournalists, but I think it's a bit shunned by them because the standard is trying to achieve a spot at the top, Magnum, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess the silver lining is that if you're serious about it, it's like anything else. You have to, like, put in the hours, put in the work, and hustle, not just with photography, also with relations. Cedric, you were in the conversation yesterday when we were talking about this. Somebody was asking about how to make money as a beginner from photography. And you brought up a really good point, that it's relationships and people that networking and all that stuff, which is just like any other business.
Yeah, and people will get to know you as a photographer and your work, and then doors might open that way.
Yeah. CM is mentioning that The Guardian has a list every week with good photographs from the last couple of weeks. So this actually, one of the articles that we were looking at is from The Guardian. Let me see if I can find it. So if I click on more, here I can maybe hit pictures. And
featured galleries.
And they have featured galleries. I guess this is what CM is talking about. Yeah, I mean, these are nice photos. It definitely will catch your eye if you're scrolling by.
I mean, The Guardian is a big publication, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. One of us has to talk while the other one.
Oh reads. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was also reading, but yeah, I need to get better at this actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cedric is saying, get friends who are photojournalists. It's like it's a bit like modern art. You have to be in the circle to make it. So
yeah.
Somehow, of course, this is what I said. Like, if you are really interested, try to get internships in newspapers, in some sort of publication. Get to know the people that are already working there.
Yeah, make connections, do a lot of work, put yourself out there. Easier said than done, I'm still trying somehow. Obviously not trying hard enough, but I should be trying more. Should be out shooting more. I really want to move somewhere where I can practice street photography as much as I did when I first started. Because when I started, I was in Beirut, and Beirut is buzzing with life. I came to Stockholm. There's a few areas in Stockholm where you can feel the buzz in the street, where you can walk around and, Joel Meyerowitz style. And I don't know, have you seen the videos of him working, doing street photo?
I don't think so.
There are videos. There was a video from the 70s maybe, where somebody was with him on the street documenting him doing street photography. I think I've showed it to you a long time ago.
Me that one. I didn't put two and two together.
You didn't recognize it's the same person. He had longer hair.
Yeah. Of course. Now he's bald. That's why I don't know.
Bald. Yeah. That video is so cool. When I saw it, I was like,
what? Oh. Because he went into people's faces, right? Yeah.
And he would be ready, it's like shika, like a ninja, with the small. And so many photographers are influenced nowadays by that. And maybe they did it the same way. I haven't seen the videos before I was shooting, and I intuitively kind of got into that rhythm where I have to sneak, That's why I got this camera, the EM10, so I can have the access of
super small camera.
a super small camera with the from the hip shooting as well, where I can see the screen. And it's almost like he would do stuff like he's almost hides it as if he's working with the camera or doing something, and then he's taking photos. It's such a cool thing.
That's a good way to hide it.
Yeah, and it's such a fun thing to do in the street. And when you get the shot, it's like the best feeling ever, because it's almost like if you play sports, it's almost like you try to do a trick kick, like playing football. It's like if you jump in the air and do a back kick and it hits the goal, and that's the same feeling when you take a street photo that way. So yeah, you're somewhere fun and sunny. Go out and take photos and practice, and I'm looking forward to see your work, really. And I think you're a very nice guy, so you should have no problem networking.
Network.
You know, you're not a grumpy dude like I am, so you should be fine. All right, so I think we rambled long enough.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
It was a good topic and good photos.
And
nice stories.
Of course, I almost didn't want to talk about Joel's work today, because I wanted to have a special episode for his work and go through more of it and stuff like that. I think we covered it nicely.
But I think if he comes in, it's gonna be his episode, and he's gonna tell us about stories and how to take photos. It's a different thing.
That's how we convinced ourselves to not, instead of doing a single episode on Joel's work, because it fits nicely to the topics that we're talking about. We decided to talk about this today, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can talk to him personally.
Yeah, and also, of course, if you guys have any particular preferred photographer that you would like us to talk about or to review the work and look it together here, like Huno did once, and it was very nice, we're more than welcome to take on suggestions of who to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
And as always, find all the links in the description. Talk to us, send us stuff, and also the Discord links for the servers that we are active in. It's not our personal servers. It's friends, but they're very nice, full of beautiful people. A lot of the people in the chat are from there. And thank you so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully, maybe we will drop a video before next week.
That would be very nice.
We did film something.
We did record. We have some material to put together.
Yeah, we have a bunch of videos planned. It's gonna be like a mini series. We might do some other types of live stream in the future as well. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do so. But I'm pretty sure all of you that are here with us are already subscribed, and we love you. And thanks you. Oh, cool, CM. Thanks. Exciting stuff. CM is actually sending us cyanotype chemicals,
like a little bit of to be able to do the emulsion and put it into my watercolor paper, and then we are going to
definitely do that.
Yes,
maybe we'll do a video. Maybe we'll do it on live stream. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you, CM. All right, love you guys. See you next week.
Yes,
hope
see
you have
soon.
a fantastic one. Bye.
Bye.